Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to your March 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, how was February for you, Aquarius? During your solar return and shortly thereafter? Just curious because you had quite a party in your sign. And I'm wondering if that has made much of a difference. Maybe in some cases, it's just business as usual. March begins the month with Pisces being the sun sign and dominating in a certain sense. So let's see what planets are in Pisces. The sun, we have Venus in Pisces. I'm talking about just as the month begins because we're going to have more, but this is your second house. So this is really good because this is the resources that you generate. Material resources. So that's not too shabby. And so that might have shown thus far an increase coming from February, late February, and now it continues with the sun in this sector. And on the 3rd, Mars, which is your get up and go, your drive, goes into a fellow air sign, Gemini. And this is the first air sign, so it's ahead of you. And this is the 5th house, which is a really fun place to hang out. The fifth house in the universal chart is Leo's house. So it's ruled by the sun. It's a place that is all about love. And it's funny because it's also recreational sex. It's falling in love, but it's that first blush of attraction, okay? It's conceiving children, so the sex part, I don't know why that's casual sex, though. But Mars is the sex drive, so I'll let you do the math. That might make you quite randy. But other than that, this is a very creative place, hence what I just said about children and things like that. But I mean, creative projects. You might be really motivated to be creative at this time. And it's also the house of pleasure that goes along with the things I've just said, but also in terms of doing things for fun. So rather than the 10th house, which is your career, or the 6th house right next to it, the house of work and your service to others, this is just you having fun, whatever that means to you. You know, how do Aquarians have fun? I think that if you have inner planets in Capricorn, work, you might be a workaholic more than interested in fun. I mean, obviously, I'm being facetious because it's going to depend on other factors, not just your sun sign. But typically, Aquarians enjoy a life of the mind. So anything that you can do, like going to the theater, of course, you know, this year or this past 12 months, has been a little bit atypical, so these kinds of activities may not be things you could do even if you wanted to where you are. I think from what I have heard from listening to other astrologers, but particularly not really astrologers, but psychics, energy readers, if you will, is that March is a month when we start to experience a taste of the freedom that the number 5 in the universal year of 2021 promises. So, you know, kind of like when a new decade begins, we still have the remnants of the old decade. Like at the beginning of the 60s, sometimes you might mistake it with the late 50s. If you look at old films, the way that they're dressed, you know, and then overnight everybody's wearing Nehru jackets and love beads, you know. It's just like, and that's very Aquarian. The Aquarian age is like overnight, you know, the acid kicked in and everybody started, and everything was technical or was in color, you know, black and white, and the dresses got very short when they were mid knee. So yeah, so that kind of thing may happen for you where you start to feel in March that sense of freedom. And this may be one of the ways that it plays out for you, even as the month begins, where you feel playful. The fifth house is your inner child. It's sports, and Mars can be very physical. So you might be like getting back into something that you're into. Now, this could even be like competitive sports, whenever floats your boat. On the 13th, there's a new moon at 23 degrees of Pisces. So there's that second house again, triggered for new beginnings in some kind of earning capacity or also new ideas. One thing to note, though, is that this is going to form a conjunction with the transiting Neptune, which is in its own sign of Pisces, and it's also in that second house for you. So that's very interesting for Aquarians. Typically, I don't think of Aquarius as a particularly materialistic sign because you're very close to Capricorn. There may be more than a few of you who have inner planets in, Mercury, Venus, or Mars in Capricorn, and that can make you much more. And obviously, your moon sign could be in Capricorn, or an Earth sign like Taurus or Virgo, or some other sign that really generates money and likes money. Maybe Libra likes to buy nice things or whatever. Aries loves to just live a high life, or Leo. So in those cases, you might be more interested in generating income. And the reason I bring this up is that Neptune in the second house can cast a bit of a confusion over the money that you're earning. You may feel like it's hard to keep up with it. You don't understand where everything is going. Seems like it's just slipping through your fingers. Or in a more positive spin, it could be that you are becoming more altruistic with your money, whereas before you were more, I don't want to say selfish, but just not as concerned with others. This can be a time where you are earning money doing something that has a spiritual nature. So that's always a possibility too. So I just wanted to bring that up because that new moon that is forming a conjunction with Neptune, that might indicate that it's going to be in this particular field of metaphysics or Reiki healing, shamanic healing, astrology, yada, yada, that kind of thing. On the 15th, Mercury goes into that sector as well, into Pisces. So you do have this energy concentrated in that second house. And mind on your money, looking at where things are going. Although in Pisces, good luck with that. Mercury in Pisces is not exactly practical, but it is your second house, so it's going to have a little bit more practicality. This is an earth house. But it can be very imaginative, so great for law of attraction type of work, especially because it's, the new moon is still kind of active. It's only a couple days after the new moon. And so setting intentions around issues of finances in a very idealistic way can be probably very, successful. On the 20th, the sun goes into Aries. That's the astrological new year. Friendly angle to Aquarius being a sextile. And it's coming from the third house, which is a mental house, too. In the universal chart, it's Gemini's house. So sun going into this area of communication. And, for some of you, this in teaching, lower grades, this may be where, your new source of income is. Maybe you're starting a job in the media or in teaching or something like that. On the 21st, Venus goes into Aries. So now we're starting to see the third house getting some action. So we can put it this way, all month until, for the first 3 weeks of the month, Venus is in Pisces, and that's your second house, the house that it rules. So that this may be a good money month altogether. Venus in the third house can be meeting somebody online romantically, maybe you can start an online profile. The new moon is on April 11th, if you want to wait until then, but that might be where I could see an Aquarius person meeting somebody online for sure. Because your ruler, Uranus, rules technology, so it makes perfect sense. This can be having good relations with siblings, your neighbors. This is great for art appreciation, especially in the form of literature. So kind of piggybacking on Mars in the fifth house, going to see more plays, maybe reading playwrights. On the 28th, full moon in your opposite sign, 8 degrees Libra. Oh, opposite sign. Scratch that. Not your opposite sign, your fellow air sign. I was thinking of Aries. That's why I got a little bit confused. I'm glad I caught that. So full moon, 8 degrees of Libra. This is the air sign in front, right behind you. So this is the 9th house for Aquarius. And this is the house of Sagittarius. It's a house of expansion. And so a full moon here may be ending some kind of program at the university, higher learning, perhaps getting your book finished, ready for publication. A lot of you may actually have this in the 8th house, not the 9th house, and that would be more of an intense situation, because that would be Scorpio's house, and that would be shadow work. When I say shadow work, it's so funny because I wonder how many people actually work with their shadow, like actively. Like, how do you do that? For me, it's all about observation, and you can do it in any situation that you find yourself in, especially if you're the kind of person who is a little bit defensive. Like I'm a little bit defensive. I'm not going to lie, based on my past experiences. And I just had an experience this morning where I had to, I reacted to a comment that was not meant for me. And I had to see that. Okay, see that. Interesting. See how you are so reactive. What's going on there? That's, to me, what doing shadow work is. It's not about actually, anything more than that, unless you are somebody, and this could definitely be true for some of you Aquarians, where you're very suppressed in terms of knowing what has happened to you. And in that case, you may need to tap into some of those repressed memories. And also, I think with Aquarius, it's not so much like your fellow air sign Libra. Libra wants to be liked, and Libra wants to be nice and liked. I don't think Aquarius is really like that so much, but you want to be fair. Libra wants to be fair, don't get me wrong. When I mean fair, you want to be democratic. You do not want to be bigoted. That's like, if somebody calls you a bigot, that's like calling you another, like an even worse name. I don't want to say something worse than that, but just something terrible. And yet, I remember once reading in a book, they were saying that Aquarians can have their own little prejudices. And I think that's, entirely true. Just in terms of anybody who prides themselves on being open-minded, I have found time and time again, when I look at their tweets or, whatever, that they can say vile, hateful things, and that they cancel people that they think are, racist or sexist, whatever. And to me, I have Venus in Aquarius, but I don't have any other planets in Aquarius. I have planets in the 11th house. But for me, I feel like you have to learn what makes people tick and stop being reactive towards intolerant mindsets, because that's a form of intolerance too. You dig where I'm coming from that? Okay, so looking at these things, feeling. The full moon is about feeling things. Can you feel? Is it hard for you? Is it easier for you to conceptualize than to feel? I almost said fear. Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave it there, Aquarius. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below to my online store. Thanks for listening. Have a great month. Take care. Bye.